Mills fashion to kick back towards the wing for Lady! Left now, lines the mark. It's coming back. Cox is the biggest man there.
G'day guys, welcome to Red Time ahead of the final round of the home and away season. I'm Jared Barker. Mason Cox joins me as he always does to talk through all the latest in the world of footy. Coxy, welcome back, mate. Really looking forward to this episode because it's the last week of the home and away season. A lot's going on. The season goes bloody quickly though, doesn't it?
It does. It's crazy to think that we're already at the final round. Geez, it feels like I just moved to Fremantle literally like last week. So it's pretty nuts to say that, you know, we're essentially 6 months plus from that situation, really. But yeah, a lot of stuff happening in the football world this week is an understatement, I would say.
Yeah, 1 week left, but it's not less stories, it's more stories. And you're at the center of one of them. You've copped a fair bit of criticism this week, Coxy, by several media personnel, some past players as well, for your little argy-bargy of a post-goal celebration with Mark Keane against the Crows last week, mate. We're going to play a little clip for you here, and then I just want to get your thoughts on what happened.
Well, is this taunting what Mason Cox did on the weekend? So you kick a goal and you go charging straight after the kick and get into the face of Mark Keane, who just had the goal kicked on. Is that taunting? Yeah. And should that be a free kick in the centre to the opposition team? I think, and because this is what it can extend to. This is Mason in his final year for Collingwood doing the same, and that's what it can lead to. So I just think that the AFL is going to do it with a rubbing of the head, or they should bring it to that as well.
Are you surprised by the reaction to the little reunion you had with a former teammate?
Look, I've checked my bank account this week. There's been no money taken out by the AFL, so I assume it's okay. I get these things. I understand we're Fremantle and we're top of the ladder at the moment, and people want to talk about something that's happened about the game and us, and there's always going to be headlines and someone's going to mention something. Sorry, didn't really know about this until, to be honest, this podcast, because I don't really watch too much footy shows on Sunday morning. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like, I get it. It's some people, they get upset about these things. Do I think it's part of the gladiatorial style of, you know, what we do in AFL? Yes. And I think the people that were talking about it, I'm not going to say names, have done a lot worse things in their career. So it's kind of ironic for them to be commenting about that. But yeah, it is what it is. Look, walked off the ground, got a bunch of cheers. So the crowd enjoys it. We're here to entertain. And yeah, it's pretty much all I'll say. I didn't get a fine from the AFL, so I assume it's okay.
Yeah, the fact that you said you don't watch footy shows and that you also said it was on Sunday morning when it just wasn't on Sunday morning is the best part about that.
There you go.
It just looked like, you know, you were saying, "G'day, old mate, how you going? I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're well." Looked like a very wholesome coming together between former teammates to me. So yeah, I think it was okay, and a big win as well.
In saying this, I have a lot of respect for Mark Keane. Obviously, he's an international player also, and I've got a bit of love for people like that coming from a different background. And yeah, we enjoy a bit of, you know, we're a bit aggressive people and we're a bit of shit stirrers, and that's kind of part of our MO. So I don't think that it's a big deal. I think, you know, like Mark Keane's gotten a few fist fights over the years and, you know, jumper punches or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I get people get upset. I've always been told from my experience of AFL, this is part of it, you know, and jumper punches used to be a lot worse back in the day. Nowadays, they're pretty subtle. So yeah, that's, you know, if you're upset with me, you know, just be upset with yourself, because I learned this game from all of you. From all of you. This has nothing to do with me. Yeah. I learned this from all of you. And
if you ever do give away a free kick, you just didn't know the rules, so it's not your fault then either. So
exactly.
Continue to blame others.
I played on twice over the weekend. I didn't even realize. I was like, whoa, can I handball here? He's like, go back to the line of the mark. I was like, come on.
There you go. Two competitive blokes just having a little bit of a friendly crack. Not illegal, as you said, for now. We'll see if the AFL does make any changes, the whole taunting situation in the off-season. But a big win there, which did lock away the minor premiership for you blokes. Moving on to this week, though, you've got the Blues. How important is a win this week? Because you don't really need it from the outside looking in. A loss doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. So how important is it to get a win this weekend, if it is at all?
Yeah, a lot of people talking about the fact that no matter the outcome, neither one of us are probably going to change the finals fixture as far as how it's going to look. But for us, it's important just to be able to continue our form. You know, I think you never want to take a step back in these things going into finals, and you want to kind of be able to show your best self every single day. So, yeah, for us, traveling to Melbourne, going under the roof over there at Marvel, and Carlton's a good team. they've obviously been on a bit of a run over this back half of the year. They just signed on Frage, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the podcast, big Josh Frazier. So, happy for him as the next Collingwood player and, a person that I had as a coach of mine for multiple years. So it's a lot's been happening over there at Carlton. And to be honest, it's going to be a good challenge for us.
So we don't know about team selection until tomorrow night. You do, but do players actually want to be rested, or is it better for them, and do they prefer to stay match conditioned, given you're going to get a week off next week anyway?
It's all situational. I think there's some players maybe that might be hiding ailments that they've had throughout the year, might need to get an injection, wherever it may be, just to kind of settle a little bit of, some injuries or whatever it might be for them. So it's dependent on the player. You look at Collingwood and the way they've been doing stuff, like they've been resting players left, right, and center based on age. So we haven't been doing that, but we've rested, Alex Pearce 2 weeks ago now. Just because of, the stress on his body. And, he's played a full season, which I feel like he hasn't done for a long time. So it's a credit to him and being able to get his rehab right, getting, his schedule right to be able to help his body perform. And, every once in a while, those players that have had, I guess, issues in the past, it might be best for them to be able to get a few weeks off. But for us, luckily, we've got the bye week. So, we'll have 7 days to recuperate and a weekend off in the sense of playing games. So, for us, I think it's, just keep going the way we're going and keep continuing forward. And, that means playing our best 23 on the weekend.
And going 1-0 for the, 20 time this season. Very intriguing selection decisions to come this week and for a lot of teams. So looking forward to what happens there in that clash on Saturday. All right, let's get into Start, Bench or Drop, where we play the role of selector for the following statements. Clubs often encourage players to celebrate big in-season achievements such as winning a minor premiership or securing a top 2 berth.
I'll probably drop this. I don't know. I think it's an acknowledgement. I wouldn't say it's a celebration of that achievement. I think, for us personally, I don't even really think that we had any kind of celebration. I think JL, after it was kind of secured, he goes after the game, he's like, congrats on the, getting to the top of the ladder at the end of the year and having that all sealed up. And, you got to every once in a while smell the roses. But realistically, like, that's not what we set out to do. It's great that we have accomplished that, but we have bigger things hopefully on the horizon. So I don't think it's a celebration really. It's more of an acknowledgement of the effort it took to kind of get to that point. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone from our team really celebrated it. We just don't really kind of look too far in the past, nor too far in the future, and just try to stay in the moment a bit. So I'll probably have to drop, celebrating things in the sense of that. You celebrate if you win the whole thing in the end, and you acknowledge, I would say, probably more the effort it's taken to get to the position that we're in.
How important is it though to uphold the club's expectations of club standards when you are out on interstate trips? Because we're not going to touch on any of these investigations with the Swans players at all, but they're on an interstate trip and they go out for dinner, which was allowed by the club, as their CEO Matthew Pavlich has said, but then certain players went too far. You've been on interstate trips with the Pies, you've done it often with the Dockers. How normal is it to go out for a friendly and responsible bite and brew as a team without going too far?
And the key word's responsible there. Fremantle, it's a bit different because we have the chartered flights, so we actually go straight back. So a lot of time, like I've never experienced like a team dinner outside of prep for a game and stuff. In the interstate trip so far, so I haven't had that experience with this group. I think like realistically, there's expectations within a club, and if those expectations aren't met, then they need to be put back in line. And if that means suspensions, whatever it is, that's understandable. And, I think like some clubs will put curfews on, nights out and stuff like that. And, you have to be able to stick to what your employer says. And I don't think like whenever I was at Collingwood, we would probably go out for dinners every once in a while, but we're a bit of an older group. So I think we all most players would probably 8 or 9 p.m. doing an Irish exit and trying to go home to their wives and kids. And probably didn't last past that time. But yeah, I think there's a club standard that, is set for the players, and you got to be able to abide by that whenever those situations do arise, if that's something you want to celebrate or go out and have a team dinner or whatever it may be.
Yep, fair enough. Let's move on.
Yeah. We'll go to the next one. So the term minor premiership, we've kind of spoken about this, but I want to go a little bit more in depth with this because being from America, there's a bit more of a celebration around it. There's, you got like, I think about the NFL, there's like AFC, NFC champs, you got division champs. Like there's different things with different trophies and all this kind of stuff. And I'm wondering if there should be some kind of recognition for a minor premiership, quote unquote, or just a better terminology for it, because I feel like minor premiership is just not really what everyone kind of wants.
I'm dropping the term minor premiership because it sucks. I just don't know what else you'd call it. Thinking off the top of my head there, like minor premiers. Yeah, I don't know. So you made up a good point there, though. I think we should give more formal recognition of the minor premiers, the team that finishes on top of the ladder after a long and arduous home and away season. I do think deserve to be recognised as something a bit more official. I don't know what that is in the form of. We used to have the McClellan Trophy, which was for the minor premiers. That's now associated with the best performing AFL and AFLW programs as like an aggregate performance now. It's been like that for a few years. So I think we need to go back to rewarding the top AFL team in a home and away season with something. So as you said, you can look at the Premier League, right? You finish on top, you win the title. The NFL is a good example. Different sports, different structures. You got 32 teams and you don't even play everyone. But I guess that's why you're recognised with a division champion, a conference champion before you even reach the Super Bowl. But they're sort of more officially recognised than we do in the AFL. I'm not sure what it should look like, but I really do think like we should. I'm not saying celebrate or have a parade like you do with the grand final winner. It should never hold the same weight as the real premier at the end of the final series, but I really do think the minor premier should be looked on a little bit more fondly by clubs, by fans when you look through the history. It should be a more formal recognition. Whether it's a trophy, I think that it should probably come back. Celebrate it however you want as a club. Take it seriously. Don't take it seriously if you're a fan. Whatever, I don't care. But I think the minor premier deserves something. It's a big achievement.
Yeah, it is. It is. And there's not really... Yeah, there is no kind of celebration of it, and since from the AFL side, not even like the AFL awards, there's not really any kind of, soul, I guess, like recognition of it. I would love for it to be like, I know typically at the moment, like the opening round is always kind of like a Carlton, Richmond or something like that. I would love for like the opening round to be 1 versus 2 of the minor or like of the regular season of the previous year to then be like the opener for the next year. And
like
have
the grand
something
final
that's
rematch.
like, okay, like, or the grand final rematch or something like that, right? Yeah, like I think it would be cool to tie in something meaningful to a minor premiership. It'd be cool if there's some kind of trophy. I don't think the AFL fan base would probably respect it nor really care too much. But I have found it weird that there's no, there's no kind of like trophy or really anything that kind of is associated with it, bar just having 2 home finals, which obviously is, I think, like the best. You could probably, to have a double chance in a finals campaign or a playoff campaign is pretty wild from probably what I've come from in a sense. So that's the ultimate, I guess, benefit of it. But I think it'd be kind of cool. Or I was kind of amazed that there wasn't really like a trophy of some sort similar to what other leagues have around the world.
Yep, I'd bring a trophy back if it was up to me. So from recognising the minor premier to recognising something else, but in my opinion, wrongly, wildcard round being labelled officially as AFL finals. Start, bench, or drop?
I'll drop that. I mean, I've said on this podcast many times, the whole wildcard thing is a bit of meh, as you'd say. But here we are, and we'll see how it pans out. I think there was something about like having a top 8 teams that I guess it may be just because that's kind of what I've been bred up in the last 12 years of knowing AFL, having that is something to strive for. And now that there's an extension of that and it's over half the league, I've said this multiple times, I don't think it's a great way of doing it. I think it's a cash grab by the AFL. But here we are, and we'll see kind of how it pans out. And it's led to, I guess, some exciting matchups. Obviously, you got 2 bigger teams in Carlton and Collingwood. They're going to fall into that 7 to 10 spot. So the AFL will be pretty happy financially with that. But realistically, I don't love that it's called a final. I think it should be called a wild card round and not be considered part of the finals campaign. It should be almost an extended season. game to then get into finals, not to be part of finals.
Yeah, I'm dropping this as well. It shouldn't be a part of the final. This is the biggest thing because it's fair. I think most people's criticism of the wildcard round, we're looking at the cons of it, and they deserve to be criticised. But I'm not going to reheat old soup, but I do think there are pros to it. This is the biggest thing that they've got wrong, though, labelling it as part of the final series. It should just be, no, it's still the top 8 like it always has been, but in the wildcard round or the play-in, whatever you want to say it is, it's 7v10, 8v9. You're spending an extra week to work out who finishes 7th and 8th, and then the final start like it always did with 8 teams. Because then you wouldn't open yourself up to the criticism that is coming, like you just said before, well, now 10 teams are making finals. So the AFL didn't help itself by allowing it to be ridiculed in that way. But I did think about this. So while I'm dropping that, you can sort of understand why it is being labelled part of or falling under the AFL finals umbrella, because the AFL would get all the ticket sales. So if it's an extra, and it would be unfair if clubs who missed out on wildcard round were looking at, say, if the ladder just finished at the end of round 23. So Adelaide would host a final, the Pies would host a final. I think a lot of clubs would think it's unfair that those two clubs could then host extra matches and take all the ticket sales. I mean, the Pies are going to get 90k at the MCG potentially. If it's Carlton, it could be close to 100k. That's whatever they're going to get from ticket sales, $1 million plus. That would be the reason why I think it might fall under the AFL finals umbrella, because now the AFL gets the ticket sales and you just deepen the prize money for finals teams, because if you make a wildcard round this season, you're getting $55,000 minimum as a club, which is very different to a meal or two.
Yeah, I was about to say 55 grand. I think any club's going to take a home final with being able to sell tickets, bar maybe one or two, but I won't mention those names. Yeah, interesting. Look, I mean, I don't know. I could keep going back to this. The whole reason this exists is money, more broadcast rights, more eyes and stuff on people that are helping fund the AFL, whether it be NAB or whoever it is that's going to be the sponsor of these kind of things and have their name on the field. Yeah, the AFL has now found a way to essentially upsell what their product is, and that's an extra round of games. And unfortunately, that money does not get filtered down to the players really in a correct way, in a fair way. But that's a hill I'm willing to die on at another day. I'm not going to go there at the moment. There's plenty of room for improvement, and I hope in my time I see the players strike at some point.
I'm not going to push and prod, and I'm not going to make you go there. It's a topic for another day. But the Blues have a new coach.
Yeah, so let's go to the next one. Carlton's coach hiring process should have been handled differently. Obviously, Josh Fraser, now the head coach finally of Carlton. We figured it out. It only took him to go, 11-2 for them to decide on this. Interesting. I mean, obviously, coaching is something that, like, picking a new coach is obviously something that each club does individually and in a different way. And the timing of that appointment is always different also. But interesting one with, I guess, the fact that they had an interim coach who, if you were to probably ask Carlton at the time, are you interested in Josh Fraser whenever Vossi got sacked? I think the answer probably would have been, no, I don't think he's on our radar. But obviously him going in that incredible run that they have over the back end of the season has made his value go through the roof for Carlton fans, and they're chanting his name at games, which then puts pressure on the GM to make decisions like he did this week, which I'm happy for Josh. Obviously, I've had a connection with him over the years, but it was an interesting experience for him as a hiring process, and I know from what has been told to us that he wasn't 100% probably. The first game he picked up, he probably wasn't thinking, I need to give a spiel as to why I'm going to be the next Carlton head coach. He was probably just going, I need to try to bring this team out of the depths of the losing that they've had, which he did. And then the success maybe changed his mind. Yeah,
so I'm dropping this because I think it was actually handled well in the end, because they ended up making the right decision with Josh Fraser. I think the timing of the announcement, I'm pretty sure I said it last week that they should announce it before wildcard round and sort of get that boost for the final game of the season against the top team, and then wildcard round as well. I think avoiding the speculation during finals footy can only be a good thing, and we've seen this group crumble under pressure before. So it was interesting, though, to hear the club and Graham Wright yesterday say that even if you disregard the 13 weeks and the 10-2 with one draw record that Josh Fraser had, they picked him on merit based on the way that he presented, better than the other candidates in front of the selection committee, and based on all the criteria that they set. So apparently it didn't matter that their form completely turned. They're playing footy that's akin to the contenders at the moment. Not sure what I make of that or if I believe it. I'll have to take his word for it, but I'm pretty sure if he went 2-10 instead of 10-2, he probably wouldn't have the job right now. So they did say it was purely based on all the criteria. That's interesting. Make of that what you will. But otherwise, I think they've done the right thing. There's no point in waiting. So I think they handled it as a club well. There's no way they expected to be hiring him, though, when they made him the interim.
Oh, no, I don't think they expected to go 10 or 11-2, wherever it's been since. Or I guess it's 10-2-1 now, isn't it? Yeah. To say that winning games at the back end of the year had no, influence on the process as to how they picked him.
That's protecting the other candidates for sure. That's just looking after the other candidates.
100%. That is 101. Like, I made the right call, and I'm going to pump my own self up for that call.
Yeah.
Even though it was pretty much written in stone.
What is going to come is a lot of expectations for next season. They probably should be playing finals next season. Isaiah Dudley kicked the goal of the year.
Oh, this is an absolute home run for me. I'm going to start that 101. Duds, teammate of mine, big fan of him. You got the tallest guy in the league, you got the shortest guy in the league. And I love seeing him just zipping around the place, just selling candy, him and Shay, just doing what they do. And it's great to see, Indigenous players just absolutely being superstars on the big stage. And it does a lot for the community, which is awesome too. And you see it, week in, week out with the support they get. And yeah, it's just great to see, like, him selling candy 4 times, kicking a goal over his shoulder, just things that, like, I wish I could do, but there is just no damn way in hell I will ever be able to do that out of 100 tries or 1,000 tries or 1,000,000 tries. And you got to just respect it. You got to respect his ability to be able to find the 2 big sticks and kick him straight through it, no matter who's in his way. And I'll say one of the goal of the years for sure.
Yeah, it's going to be up there as a contender. I'll start that as well. It's hard to know. So McStay did that, like, AFL pick 6 with the smother and the banana from the boundary a few weeks ago. Noah Anderson a few weeks ago as well took on the entire Carlton defence and kicked a crack out of Duds as well. There's been some ripping goals. Coxy Pickett's kicked a couple. Josh Rochelle kicked one in the showdown, I think. Will Ashcroft's kicked a couple. This is a tough year to pick the goal of the year, I reckon. We'll have to go through them maybe next week when it's time for the AFL awards. But I think Duds is in the running for sure. You got to give that a go. Little twinkle toes in the forward line, taking on players here and there, selling some candy. You got to give it a crack. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Coxy.
2019 versus Richmond, I sold candy to 3 players and then snapped it over my shoulder. And believe me, the face was just as shocked as everyone else.
I reckon I've got a recollection of that.
I went through. It was just absurd. Inside 50 dribble kick, sell candy one way or the other. And I was like, I'll give it a go with this, and just snapped it. And luckily enough, I got a decent chunk of the ball that went through. But shout out to all the people that are on the fat side running that pattern, to looking for the ball, just get absolutely looked off to be an inside out banana or whatever it may be to get the goal of the year contender. Those people are the ones that are really doing it tough. I'm telling you that. Okay.
God, good on you, Duds. Good on you, Duds. Oh man, who's craftier, Duds or Shay?
Ooh, that's a tough one.
You don't need.
I think they're craftier in their own right, differently. I think, like, Duds is probably a higher. I don't know. Shay's had some pretty good tackles and chase downs, but Shay loves the fend off, and that gives me hypes.
Yeah,
he loves the fend off, loves a cheeky, like, just shimmy, fend off, throw a guy to the ground, and, like, just continue on. He's got that burst of speed where it's like once he gets a little opening, he's gone. And as someone in the midfield that sees that quite closely, it's really cool to watch, and that's very unique for, like, a player to be able to have. Duds is just one of those players that ends up being in the right place at the right time, bobs up, and can do some shifty stuff. And that is just as impressive, I feel like. So it's tough to be able to pick one over the other, to be honest. I'm just glad I'm playing next to both of them. That's all I'm going to say. Because I know I can't do that. I just hit the ball to them. They do the rest. That's it.
So you do have a hand in what they do. There you go. You can take some credit.
Yeah, well, I gave a hit out to Duds this weekend. He got a high tackle, kicked a goal. So
bang. You did your part. As long as he holds up his end of the bargain. All right, let's get on
Sean.
to Hot Stat Checklist, powered by StatMate. Download the app for free now. We're going to look at Carlton versus Fremantle. So Jai Amos's last 5 weeks have read 4, 5, 0, 5 and 5 goals with an average of 3.8 goals per game in that time. The Spearhead has benefited from slick Freo ball movement and has kicked 3 in both of his recent clashes with the Blues. 3 seems a doable amount again this week. What do you reckon?
I hope so, because he's on the team. So I'll lock it in. It's, hey, look, if he gets on a bit of a roll, you best believe with the Coleman race, you might be just
He's
going,
8 behind.
Everyone block for him. Everyone block for him. It doesn't matter. Just kick it to the Jai. That's all that's going to happen.
So if
it'll be interesting.
If he's on 5 goals and you know it's the Coleman race is as tight as it could be, you're up by 12 goals, are you just feeding the hell out of him?
Oh, I am. If I get a free kick at the top of the goal square, I'm handballing to him for a snap. No doubt. I don't care how many goals I kick this season. That doesn't matter if I'm going to kick 4, 5, 10, 12, whatever it is. That's definitely going to fall way short of what he's going to be able to accomplish. So, the Swans obviously can have a few outs this week, and Charlie's at the top. So, there's a possibility, Jai's, he's got a little sneaky sniff to be able to win the Coleman race if we just give him maybe 15 opportunities in front of goal.
Yep. You're probably right there. I'll say he'll get 3+, but Jacob Wiedering's in that back line. He's back now, so it could be pretty. I'm going to say he's not going to kick 8, but fingers crossed he does. It'd be fun to watch. You got the D's and the Dogs here.
Yep. We'll go Melbourne versus the Western Bulldogs. Ed Richards. Jeez, good game versus Carlton. He was essentially with Bontempelli, who also is a great player. He got 31 disposals to go with averaging a tad under 27 per game in his last 10 games. So he's now facing a D side who he had 30 and 31 against in the last 2 games. It's going to be an interesting little experience there. I mean, far out.
He's a freak, Ed.
Versus Gone, Keziah. It's going to be a midfield battle that's going to be one to watch for sure this weekend. But yeah, we got over under 30,
I'm going to say
31 disposals.
I'll say yes. I think Colton Tholstrup's been used as a tag, a bit of a run with at the D's this year, but I reckon Ed's good enough to break that. If Bontempelli's back, as of Wednesday afternoon, we don't know if he's going to be back this week or not because he obviously missed the game against the Blues, the Bont. There'll be less mouths to feed. It'll be Ed Richards midfield. He'll probably try and do whatever he likes. So, yeah, I'll back him in. Why not? He's a gun, Ed.
I'll back him in. Also, the second ruck for the Melbourne Demons also out, Van Ruin, with suspensions. So I reckon he's going to get a fair amount of pill there, Ed Richards, with them having their second ruck out. So extra hitouts for the big fella, and I'll say he gets over 31.
All right, West Coast versus Hawthorn. He has his haters, but Harley Reid has put together a really solid season for the Eagles, hoping he can finish off his campaign strongly against the Hawks after averaging 24.8 disposals per game in year 3 of his career, up from 18.8 last year. It's been a good improvement from Harley and very, very quickly becoming one of the best players in the game, if he isn't already. So I think he's going to go to another level with another preseason under his belt in 2027. As for this week, I'll get him for 24+. Last game of the year, you got to go all out, don't you? Try and finish on a high.
Yeah, you'd think so. Hawthorn, very good team now, so it's not going to be an easy feat by any means. But Harley Reid is, you got to feel for him a little bit. Like, he is one of those players that is, a generational talent. Probably doesn't get as much acknowledgement in a sense just because the team is on the bottom, towards the bottom of the ladder, on the bottom half of the ladder, this year and previous years. So it's not an easy caper to be kind of the best player on a bad team. Not a bad team, but a team that's not at the top. But he obviously has copped a lot of attention, does every single week and still puts up the numbers. So credit to his resilience, because that is something that is got to be tough situation to be in on a weekly basis. And I wish the best for him. I know he's a rival of mine now, being, West Coast Fremantle kind of rivalry, but I've got a lot of respect for him and, what he cops and how he does it. And it's not an easy thing to have to deal with. But one thing I've realized over here in the West is there's a lot of tension on 2 teams, and that face gets a lot of headlines. So it's not an easy thing to be able to handle. And I would say, obviously, he gets a lot of attention, sometimes loses it. But I think if anything, a lot of people would probably be doing the exact same if they were put in that situation.
Yep, well said. That was the Hot Stat Checklist powered by StatMate. Download the app for free now. All right, let's finish this one off with don't be surprised if we see multiple upsets this week. So I was supposed to get the fixture up here, so let me have a look. It's the last game.
Are you going to play Mason Cox this week and give an upset?
Yeah, I don't know. So I've currently I've tipped the Saints, but I mean the Suns are obviously a good chance. Last game of the season for both of those teams. You just don't know what to expect this week. That's why I'm saying this. Freo, like you guys should be winning, but the bounce that the Blues might get after announcing a new coach. They're playing good footy at the moment. Who knows? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Adelaide Giants. The Giants have caused some upsets this season as well. Adelaide should win that, but you just never know. Essendon are underdogs against Port. Could they finish the season strongly against a team that's also struggling at the moment? And then North's actually the favourites now, given everything that's going on. But they would have been an upset tip as well otherwise. So there's a few games there. I just think a lot of upsets could happen this week. You just don't know what to expect in round 25, I think it is. Round 24. So
yeah,
I'm just going to say, be careful with your tipping.
Also, with the top 10 kind of figured out, I think that puts teams might be a bit more conservative and cautious. I don't think we will be, but I know other teams that might have an older group or people that have injuries they're hiding might be a little bit more cautious going into the finals campaign. So yeah, TBD. We'll see.
Keep an eye on selection.
Who's going to be an interesting selection. But I'll go my don't be surprised. It's not really don't be surprised. It's just an acknowledgement. We got 300-game players, Jack Dunstan, Bradley Hill. Both of them won 3 premierships and also very successful players still killing it out there at the moment. And big shout out to them, 300 games. I know Gunston doesn't really love a lot of media. Brad, not really much of a guy for media, I would say either, but a lovely human to his family and everything else. And just want to give a shout out to them. And I might claim this, that they are the current most successful players in the league. If you look at premierships, games played, and still playing at the capacity that they're playing at. They might be I know it's probably not a media headline. It's probably not the person you go, oh my gosh, that comes to mind right away. But Jack Dunstan, absolute gun, pardon the pun, still today. And he's played 300 games, won 3 premierships. There's not many people left in the league that have that kind of resume. And you got to give a man flowers whenever you give them to him because he doesn't love receiving them.
Yeah,
I think he was very just like meh with the whole celebration of his 300 games. He just wants to get to business, I think.
Yeah, he's aged like fine wine, Jackie Gunston. But you did say most successful current players in the game. It's a big call. They have achieved a lot. 3-time premiership players, both of them. You got Pendlebury, who's the game's record holder. He's won 2 flags. I think a couple of the Richmond boys will still have 3 next to their name, but I think the standing of Gunston and Brad Hill with their games played, etc. Yeah, maybe they're holding high regard. Dangerfield and Max Gawn have both made 8 All-Australian teams at this stage. Gawn's about to make that 9. It's a big call, Coxy. It's a big call. I'm glad that you have these opinions, though.
I uphold premierships as a massive, massive success.
Yeah.
So I understand all Australians are important, all that kind of stuff. That's individual achievements, which is a sign that you've had a great career. But I think premierships, there's a lot of players out there that would be giving up a lot of games to be able to have a premiership under their belt. And to say you're a 3-time premiership winner is very, very rare company in the game today, and obviously becoming a lot rarer. So, yeah. Just got to throw it out there. Jack Dunstan, still playing like it's his prime, 300 games. Shout out to him. Brad Hill also, who's one of, I think, a very good story in the league and one of the best, I would say, role models in the AFL at the moment.
Yep, both in All-Australian contention in my humble this season as well. So they are both absolute guns as well. Congratulations to both of them. 300 games this week, as you said. I think that's where we're going to leave it though, Coxie. Thank you very much again for your time. We'll speak to you next week. And to everyone tuning in, don't forget to follow all things footy at ESPN Footy on Instagram. Don't forget your tips this week. Of course, it is the final round, so don't forget to put those in. Otherwise, enjoy the footy. We'll speak to you all next week.